Alright, who wants to start?
You go.
What if our questions overlap?
Sounds good.
Skip them, I guess.
Okay. I don't know if these make sense in terms of like the leadership position thing, but I just have
Okay.
like, have you always wanted to do what you're doing right now? Like, is this your dream job, so to speak?
Parts of it is my dream job.
Okay.
I like the teaching part, right? I like hanging out with you guys in the classroom. I don't really like the administrative part of it.
Okay.
It's a pain.
Like, specifically what about that sucks?
Well, because there's just so many things you can't control, right? There's things that you want to get done, there's things that
Oh, yeah.
should be done, but you just can't control those parts, and so there's a frustration in that.
Okay.
And everybody knows that, hey, if these things were done, everything would be better, but they still can't get done. And so there's some real frustration in that part. I do like the part of, you know, that when people have ideas, that we can make some of those ideas happen. So that part's pretty cool.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
seeing stuff get done.
Seeing stuff get done.
It's just that that's so rare.
It seems to be
Yeah.
rare. It seems to be rare. Yeah. And I think that's just an institutional thing everywhere. That's not just a here thing, that's just an everywhere thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. What's one of your questions?
Well, my first one is the cheesy but, classic. What do you think makes a good leader?
Oh, what do I think is a good leader? Yeah. I think they have to have clarity. Clarity about why they're doing what they do, right? So, if you're going to lead people, you should know why you're doing it. And then you should also know kind of what's important to them, because that's part of the deal is if you want people to buy into what you're doing, you kind of have to know what they want as well. So if you have clarity about why you're doing these things or why you're taking this on, I think that leads to a lot more success. Because that also leads to comfort, right?
Yeah.
Because you get conflict when people don't understand their roles or they don't understand why they're being asked to do certain things or why do I have to do this and not that person? So if there's no clarity, that's where conflict comes from. So if you can avoid conflict, leadership becomes so much easier.
I
Yeah.
feel like that's such an impressive answer.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
good.
Right? Yeah. I was expecting something cheesier.
We've
Oh.
never heard that before,
Yeah.
but it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, good.
Have you always seen yourself as a leader or somebody who takes charge?
No.
Really?
No, yeah. As an artist, I'd rather just be sitting in my studio by myself with the door closed and nobody allowed anywhere near.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
so that's how I always see myself. That's kind of how I prefer myself, really. But it just kind of happened that being here, there was a void that needed to be filled because my colleagues have really good skill sets, but none of them really wanted to do sort of this type of role. So it just kind of like I could do it, so I just did it. So that's kind of how I got into
So
this
you just
chair.
kind of like fell into it?
I kind of fell into it. I was, the last person, that thing where he's like, step forward if you don't want to do it, and then everybody sort of steps back, and all of a sudden you're like the one forward.
Yeah.
It was like one of those
Goes
moments.
and
Yeah.
everybody else is
It was
like,
like one of those kind of moments. I'm
Yeah.
like, where did we go? And all of a sudden it was me. So, but it's been good because I just work with great people, so that helps. Yeah.
Okay. What is one of your favorite leadership roles that you've had in your lifetime?
Ooh. Wow. I don't know. It might just be family man.
Yeah.
Doing the whole dad thing is pretty awesome. So that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
To that one matters, right? Like how I behave and
Yeah.
how I provide for the family and all those kind of things that I make. If I make good decisions, then I can do good things for the family. If I make horrible decisions, then the family
Yeah,
falls
it
apart. So-
motivates other decisions.
That's right. And that's about the clarity thing. If I know why I do what I do, if I have clarity about just sort of, big picture stuff, it just makes all the other decisions so much easier. So,
That's a good answer.
so yeah, it really does. It comes down to kind of just leadership, family idea.
That's a good answer.
Thanks.
You're just knocking this out of the
I
park.
love that.
What's something you weren't expecting about your job that you had to adjust to?
Learning the financial side of stuff. So I'm not a great math person. I don't really like numbers and budgets. It's not my strong suit. I'm not really super comfortable there. And so when we're dealing with budgets here, the budgets are very intricate.
Oh, you do that?
Yeah, I have budgets under me, and so the budgets are there's a lot of rules you have to follow. There's state ethics guidelines. There's, anytime you make a purchase, there's certain things you have to submit to make sure that all the reconciliation is proper. It has to be approved at certain levels. So I just did not expect all of that extra, stuff. So it took a long time for me to figure out how the budgets actually work and what am I really allowed to spend money on and not.
Did you have to find that out the hard way?
No, I didn't find out the hard way, but there was a lot of, I had to ask a lot of questions like, is this okay? That's not okay. Don't do that.
Why did you ask that?
Yeah, you're like, I want to know before I do it.
Yeah. It's better
So
to ask.
it's better to ask. It's better to ask. So yeah, it is. It really was the financial side of it, because that's just not a natural thing for me. There's no training for any of that kind of stuff. You just kind of have to figure it out on your own. So that's where a lot of the difficulty was. Yeah.
Well, this one's kind of similar. But what would you say has been your greatest accomplishment? I'll say you can't choose family stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, I think if we're talking about basically what happens here, it's probably, I think, the expansion of the degrees, in the department is one of them. The creation of the College of Arts and Communication would be another one, because when I first took over this role, we were a department inside the College of Liberal Arts.
I forgot about that.
So we were all one: music, theater, art and comm were all a department, and they were all, I was the chair of that department, so there was 28 faculty member in a college that's way across campus. It was chaos. So the ability to get us separated from the College of Liberal Arts was a big, it took a lot of effort, but it was a big success. And so that led to the ability to create the new degrees and the new structure, and I think it's been better for everybody. So that's probably it. I think that's probably, if there's legacy stuff, that might be it.
I'm just gonna ask like a random question because I'm genuinely curious.
Okay.
What did you do before this? Like before
Yeah.
you were here?
So before I was here, I was teaching in Colorado. So I earned my master's in 2000, and I was in New York, and so we moved from New York back to Colorado, where I'm originally from, and I started teaching there, and I was adjuncting at 5 different schools, trying to figure out how to survive as an adult, right? Because I had like a baby and a wife, all this. I had to be a grown up basically, which is
It's like
nobody wants to be a grown up. It's the worst job ever. So I was doing adjunct stuff around Colorado before I came here. So so this is actually my first. Westlake was my first real full time teaching gig.
Really? That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah. Because everything prior to that was all just adjunct stuff everywhere throughout Colorado.
Like in colleges, or were you like?
Yeah, universities. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you would have done differently if you could?
Wow, that's
It
tough.
could be something simple or like way back.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's always a tough one, because I don't tend to do a lot of rear view mirror stuff, looking in the back.
I thought that would be a good hard question.
Yeah, it is. And I don't have a ton of regrets about things.
Yeah.
So that makes that question even harder. So I don't know. It may be. There was a time, like budget-wise, and this would have been just a few years ago, when the budget was just terrible, and they were like slashing faculty. I feel like I probably could have worked harder to save a couple of those people.
Yeah.
That would have been nice to have still here, but they did. They cut those people off, and I did put up an effort, but could I have done more? I don't know.
Yeah.
Those decisions were made above my head, but because I do feel bad about not having those people around, because they were very good at what they did. They were just kind of the circumstance is what got to them. So that might be. That's probably it. Probably bothers me the most is I couldn't help those people enough. Yeah.
Another good answer.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is my last one.
Okay.
What advice would you give to somebody who's like entering a position similar to yours?
Yeah. Well, the first one would be to know why you're doing it, right? Because it is. It can be overwhelming, and it can change dramatically. Like, because when I first took the position, it's so different now than what it was. So you have to be adaptable to those kinds of things. So if you have clarity, you can apply those. Okay, this is why I'm doing this. Here's the change, and here's why I'm doing this in the first place. So it's easier to make those kinds of decisions. So I think any kind of clarity you can give yourself, like what is my mission in life? What's my purpose in life? All of that stuff down, it just creates so much more, I think, calm inside of it. There's, because like when you enter leadership and you don't really have a lot of experience doing it, you can go to seminars and you can watch YouTube and all that stuff, but in the end of the day, it doesn't really pay off until there's actually, until things are really happening.
Yeah. Experience.
Yeah, so I think being philosophically comfortable with what you're doing matters a lot. Because if you're philosophically comfortable, then you'll make decisions you feel good about.
Yeah.
Like if you don't feel good, if you don't feel comfortable, then all of a sudden you have to make decisions about, people's futures or, how students are going to perform. And if you don't feel good about that decision, then you're just
Yeah.
tormented. So yeah, so you want to be philosophically comfortable with what you're doing. I think that would be it. So, yeah.
My last one was actually kind of close to that, so we could probably just.
Okay.
Yeah.
You done?
We could be good.
So thank you.
Okay, good.
We actually have like a lot